Track 26.
Lost in the Desert by Margot Fallis. The rock dropped to the bottom of the well and landed with a splash when it hit the water. Rabin was a beautiful little girl, with dark brown eyes and hair as dark as the midnight sky. She laughed when she saw the water splash up. Then she skipped off towards the tent where she lived. Summer in the Egyptian desert could be very, very hot. Rabin's tent was in a small village in the arid desert, southwest of Cairo. Not many people ever came to the village to visit, but now and then a camel train would pass through. A tree sprouted up now and then from the parched earth. Sometimes she'd ask her friends Karim and Yasmin to play with her. One day, they were walking along a sandy trail when they came to an area of trees. Rabin saw something moving off the side of the path. It was a furry rabbit. She wanted to follow it, but her mother had warned her never to leave the path. It was dangerous. She'd told Rabin that she might get hurt or lost. Sometimes there were wild animals waiting in the bushes. But Rabin wanted to catch that rabbit. She ran off the trail, following the rabbit through rocks and sandy soil. Karim and Yasmin tried to call her back, but she wouldn't listen. The rabbit hopped over a dead tree, so Rabin followed it. It ran up a small hill. It leapt over a wide riverbed. While Rabin was running after it, the rabbit jumped into some thorny bushes and she lost sight of it. She sat down in the shade of a tree and looked around at the unfamiliar surroundings. In the tree above hung a rather large beehive. As Rabin sat there, unaware of the hive, she noticed a lot of bees gathering around her. They were buzzing back and forth. Rabin didn't like bees. She jumped up and ran as fast as she could. She ran into the bushes and realized that she was lost. Nothing looked familiar to her. Where were Karim and Yasmin? Why hadn't she listened to what her mother had said? She sat down on a rock and started to cry. As she sobbed, she heard a hissing sound. She looked at the ground and saw a cobra. It was coiled up and its tongue was flickering in and out of its mouth. Its head was flat and wobbled back and forth. Rabin jumped up on top of the rock and watched the snake. It slithered across the sand, but then it slunk away. Now she really began to cry. She was very frightened. She hopped off the rock and started running back to the riverbed. She was walking along when she saw something move. Her heart jumped as she thought it was the rabbit. Maybe, if she followed it again, it would lead her back to Yasmin and Karim. She ran over to it, but saw it was a small fox, reddish-brown with a bushy tail. It scurried off into the bushes. She hung her head down and plodded along. She noticed tracks by the riverbed, like a crocodile's. She couldn't see a crocodile, but she thought that one might be waiting nearby. So she ran quickly down the riverbed. Now Rabin felt tired, hungry, and afraid. The sun was setting below the horizon. The sky glowed a beautiful orange and red colour, but she didn't want to be alone in the dark. She sat down in the sand, too tired to move. She lay her head on her hands and fell asleep. When she woke up, the rabbit was standing by her head. Its little black nose was wet and rubbing against her cheek. Rabin stood up slowly. The rabbit didn't run away. It wanted Rabin to follow it. She walked slowly and followed the rabbit back down the riverbed, past the crocodile tracks, past the rock where the cobra had slithered, and past the tree filled with angry bees. The rabbit suddenly stopped. Rabin listened. "Rabin, where are you?" It was her father. She called out, "I'm here. I'm here! Soon her father found her, picked her up in his arms and hugged her tightly. Where were you, Rabin? We've been worried about you. Yasmin and Karim told us you'd wandered off the path. You know you aren't supposed to do that. Her father scolded. I know, Father. I am very sorry. I'll never leave the path again. She turned and looked for the rabbit. Where did it go? She saw it running off into the trees. She smiled, took her father's hand, then walked back home.